Testing, testing. 1, 2, 3. Hope we are live. Hope everyone's all excited. Welcome to another video production by Mr. M. So, just hope everyone's doing well with the COVID-19, the coronavirus. This will probably be the last video stream that looks a little bit more amateurish. I did find out how to make videos now on PowerPoint. So I will be recording stuff on PowerPoint probably from now on. This will be one of the last ones maybe on, well, for a little while anyways, on, like my old desk here and things like that. And off the cell phone, I found out how to do more computer streaming. So that'll be uploaded soon. But hope everyone's doing well anyways. I'm going to try to keep this really, really short. But there are a few announcements. This will be a 1920s video. Before we do that, though, let's get to a few announcements. First things first, College Board test takers. So if you are taking the College Board, the AP exam, if you are a test taker, what I need you to do, this is a really important announcement. I need you to sign in to College Board. So go to College Board. You need to sign in with your password, your username, and I need you to find the place where it says confirm exam. They're asking people to do this now because they aren't really sure, who's actually going to be taking the test yet because of COVID-19. So make sure if you're going to be taking the test, you have to go in College Board. You have to hit confirm so people know that you are officially taking it, okay? So make sure you do that. That's a little homework assignment. This is only for College Board test takers, those that signed up, paid for the exam. Next announcement real quick. The exam is May 15th. May 15th, so this is the A-Push exam. It'll be May 15th at 2 o'clock. Now, obviously, we're not going to be, well, we might not be in school at this point. We're not really sure. Going to probably have an update, within the next week or two. But College Board is offering it online. So the exam, the official test can be taken online May 15th, 2 o'clock. Since it is online, it will be an open notes exam. Now, real quick though, just because it's open notes, that means, you can use your book, text materials. College Board is going to probably do their best to make sure no one is using, other electronic devices like computers, cell phones. So make sure you're not doing that. But it's going to be open notes because it's online. And I believe I have to go to a training to see what the test will consist of. But it should only be 45 minutes long instead of like an hour and a half or 2 hours. So if it's 45 minutes, you're probably going to have 45 questions, 1 minute to answer, multiple choice. But I will update the format for those taking the test. But just a reminder, you need to go on College Board, you need to sign in, confirm that you're taking the exam. For everyone else not taking the exam, others, this is the rest of the class. Your final exam is going to be the same date, May 15th. Why am I doing that? Because I want the material to stay fresh. I want it to stay, relatively in your mind pretty well. So your final exam is still going to be May 15th, okay? Because of that, the rest of the year then, what I plan on doing is probably doing like a Google poll. I'm going to come up with some subjects for you to learn about. And basically, we're going to do a Google poll. And, whatever subject wins is what we're going to learn about. So, for example, I might do, we could learn either about civil rights movement more or Vietnam War. And then we'll do a vote. If we want to learn about both of them, we'll get to them. But I thought it would be kind of be cool to, do a couple of voted subjects where we want to learn about the rest of the year. Okay. Last thing mentioned on this. This is going to be the last video, I think, on giving you like a chapter quiz or a chapter reading. So what I've been doing, is posting a chapter online through YouTube and having you read it and take, an exam on it. Take a little quiz, do some copy notes on Google Doc. I don't think we're going to do that anymore. I think the rest of the year, I'm going to make some YouTube videos through PowerPoint on review periods. So we have 9 review periods. We're about halfway through period 7 right now. Probably not going to finish or get to period 8 or 9. because the test is already, within a month. So I think the rest of the time we're just going to do short review period videos and practice our short answer questions in case they are on the exam. So this is really it for the major announcements. Just make sure I'm going to harp on it one more time. AP test takers, AP students that signed up for the exam, make sure you go in and you hit the confirm button to make sure everyone knows that you're taking the exam. Those of you who are not, we're still going to have an exam. It will be May 15th. More details, check it out on Google Classroom. Okay, final thing today. This is it with the announcements. I'm going to roll through 1920s material really quickly. I'm going to post a lot of this under the materials section for 1920s. Now, your video and your homework is going to be posted onto a Google Doc. You know what you're doing. I combined both chapters into one Google Doc, so the Google Doc's going to be a little bit longer. You do have 2 chapters to do. All of the info the guy talks about on YouTube is pretty much the same stuff I'm going to be talking about right now. So I'm not going to go into huge detail just because he does it, just as much, if not better than I can. What I'm going to do is just go over quick things and, make sure you understand certain topics that might be... Whoops, dropped my pen. Let me get it. Yikes. Okay, I'm back. But anyways, so I'm just going to go over, certain topics that we're going to be doing really quickly in class. And just sort of reassert what the guy's going to do on YouTube. So first things first, the 1920s presidents. I'm going to post this all online so you can follow along if you want later. There were 2 main presidents in the 1920s. The first one is Warren G. Harding. He is a Republican. All presidents in the 1920s were Republicans, okay? So Warren Harding is a Republican, right? Here's a couple things that he kind of did in office. The guy on YouTube goes in a lot more, into detail what Warren Harding did. So we're just going to keep moving here. You can look this over in your notes and sort of listen to what he did. Calvin Coolidge, second Republican, he takes over after Warren Harding is killed in office. He succumbed to, I think it was pneumonia or a heart attack, and Calvin Coolidge took over. But basically, these 2 guys, both Republicans, what they tried to do is kind of help the economy and help out social issues by promoting a lot of businesses, a lot of work, and they're trying to help, fix some social issues. So what are some social issues that these 2 Republican presidents were trying to fix? Well, here's just a few. If you look down here really quickly, here's a couple issues. First one, there was a lot of increased rates of alcoholism. So, a lot of people were drinking excessively, 100 years ago in the 1920s. This led to a lot of problems. It's going to lead to something called prohibition, which we'll look at in a bit, which basically made it illegal for alcohol. There was a lot of vice going on. So there was a lot of murder, a lot of rape, prostitution, gambling throughout all American cities. Immigrants, basically, there was a lot, like a hint of, racism, nativism going on in our country, where basically all immigrants were viewed as either being communists or anarchists, which are basically people that don't, believe in the government. So immigrants, treated pretty harshly. There are increased automobile accidents among people, young people, 16 to 24. Women are spending less time at home, less time serving as wives and mothers. This is going to create a little bit of a problem, a little bit of a culture trend we'll look at later. And then finally, there are decreasing numbers of people really considering God as being fearful, right? So they're not fearful of God anymore. Decreasing church attendance a little bit, increased alcoholism, decreasing church attendance. What do you think is going to happen? Dun dun dun. They're going to pass, prohibition, basically banning alcohol, trying to hope people can go, more to church and become morally better people. Okay, some other issues real quick. We're going to roll through them because these are all found in the video from YouTube. So real quick though, here are a couple other issues. A major issue in 1920s, fear of this thing called communism. If you don't know what communism is, it's basically a form of government where the government owns, all major businesses. So you don't really own your own business. You don't own your own home. Communist government owns your house, your wealth, and your businesses. And this really made people, really fearful of what was going on. It was a huge fear of basically, just communism. This leads to something called the Red Scare. This is going to be in your notes on the PowerPoint. So I'm actually going to skip over it, but it's basically, a fear of more communism taking over governments, governmental rights. So these are going to be in your notes. I'm going to post this online so you can print out a copy if you wish. Another major issue going on, Sacco versus Vanzelli. This is a trial over immigration. So basically, these two guys are both Italian. They're charged with a murder. And basically what happens is, they're both Italians. Italians are viewed pretty negatively back then. And these guys are both charged with a murder, even though they're seen at a different place. At the same time of the murder, they're seen at a different place. And about 150 people saw them, at this different place. But they're still blaming these guys for the murder case, the murder trial. Same time, you have an increase of the the KKK. You have an increased influence of them, throughout the South and throughout really Washington, D.C. and politics. A major resurgence comes from this organization, mainly because of this film, Birth of a Nation. This is a huge film, very influential in American history. I think, well, it was actually shown in the White House by Woodrow Wilson. So this was the first movie, I believe, that was ever shown in the White House. And basically, it's very sympathetic to the Southern cause, to basically Confederates. And it kind of celebrates the KKK, as a major independent movement that was going to help the U.S. So really this, the 1920s is a big increase in membership of this organization. And the group basically expands. They're mainly made up, of white Anglo-Saxon Protestants. And they're going to oppose unions, Catholics, Jews, alcohol, any immigration foreigners, any minority leaders, any minority members. So this also includes, African Americans, Asians, Japanese, etc. Okay. Another issue going on, limits of immigration. So a lot of people, fearful of immigration, fearful of immigrants coming into the country. A lot of people, especially Japanese immigrants, a lot of people viewed them as being, people that are going to take American jobs, things like that. Kind of sounds familiar-ish, till the day with, what's going on in Mexico and things like that. There's still a lot of sentiments about immigration going on today. Okay. I'm just gonna do this really briefly, but this is also talked about on the PowerPoint, online. But basically, there's a major rural versus urban divide. The country versus the city people, what they really, value, what they want for the country, for the government. So you can look this over some more. But the main division is going to come here at number 4 over this prohibition. So if you remember, prohibition made it illegal to sell, carry, or own alcohol in the U.S. So it was passed with the 18th Amendment. It lasted for about a 30-year time period, and then they said, look, this isn't really working, so we're going to make a new amendment, the 21st Amendment, to get rid of this. But basically, the major arguments for it and against it, people that wanted prohibition, they basically were saying, alcohol leads to corruption. Corruption in government, corruption in politics, corruption in people's personal lives. A lot of people said, look, this is leading to wife and child abuse because, let's face it, guys, like, men were coming home, after work sometimes, and they were just, drinking excessively and taking out their problems on their family members. Kind of sad, kind of true, though. Drinking led to accidents. There's a lot of stories actually in the 1920s that people, were showing up at funerals half drunk. They were showing up, at weddings half drunk. There's, a couple stories of guys who were actually digging graves, and they were that, messed up in the head that they were falling into open graves because they were drunk all the time. Okay. Arguments really against prohibition. So these are arguments, keeping alcohol legal keeping alcohol legal to buy in the U.S. People were saying on this side, drinking is acceptable as long as you do it in moderation, right? As long as you're not chugging them all down, you should be okay. Okay. Drinking is part of a socialization process. Okay. Drinking, is okay. Drinking is mainly a personal choice. Government should not be involved. Okay. So these are arguments against it. Okay. These are arguments for it. What you're eventually going to see right here, prohibition is repealed in 1933 with the 21st Amendment because, number one, federal officials, the police, can't work hard enough to get, to basically enforce what was going on. They're underfunded, they're understaffed, they're overworked, they're overwhelmed. There's not enough people to enforce it. Okay. Drinking, bootleggers found ways to evade the law. So people were still, participating in the activity, even though it was illegal. And it also led to the rise of gangsters like Al Capone. So prohibition, huge failure, huge failure, okay, in the U.S. But it did last from 1919 to 1913. So 14 years, this was going on, okay. Important to know, it'll be covered in more detail in the other YouTube video, okay. Consumerism, we'll go over super quick, but basically consumerism is just the buying of other products. So like if you're a consumer, you're buying products. This had a couple different impacts. So the first thing really is, it impacted basically electricity. So electricity was founded back then. This led to more things like washing machines, vacuum cleaners, sewing machines, etc. More automobiles. Automobiles were invented this time. Henry Ford producing the first cars that people could buy very cheaply, the Model T. And there was also more modern advertising. Okay, so this is all really important. Consumerism. People were buying goods. People were buying new inventions. Check out more details in the other YouTube video. Okay. Last thing I want to talk about, real quick, is just women's status going on in the 1920s. So this is really important. Women for the first time are getting newfounded rights. So we're going to talk real quick over some of the things. We're not going to read all of this. It'll be posted online for you to review. But here are some physical change going on. First thing, like the dress. So in the 1848s, mid-1800s, women had to dress very modestly, okay? Could not show anything, right? And they became more practical, the dress, later on. So this is 1840, 1920. As you see, this woman still dressed pretty heavily, but it's a little bit more of a modern type of dress. So this is just how their status changed slowly, over a 60-year time period. How did people view their health? 1840s, women were viewed as weak. 60 years later, they're viewed as strong, okay? What about exercise? Could women exercise? No. A lot of people said they're too delicate. They need to stay at home, make sure, they're not injuring themselves by bicycling around. What happened? 1920s, women are able to now bike, participate in, workout groups, group exercise activities. In fact, the Washington, D.C. Bicycle Society and others started protesting women's new mobility, saying that it's not going to break up, basically, the home if women are out biking and things like that. Some intellectual reforms for women. Women's status, 1848, nope. no college for you, no schooling, no higher education for you. 1920s, women are starting to go to education for the first time into college. People are even saying, women's brains are too small in 1848. By the 1920s, women, are able to go to college, able to learn, able to study different types of subjects. Spiritual. How were women spiritually? Women could not serve in any public roles, not inside of the church. Okay, so women in the 1840s could not serve any public roles, basically at home. Could not participate in the clergy, could not be preachers, pastors. What happened though, 1920s, women start forming their own societies and start forming their own religious groups. Mainly they got a lot of power in the Quakers. Okay, the Quakers. Same thing with the Bible down here. Could not really read it. Had to have someone read it to them. 1920s, women can read their own Bible by themselves. Honestly, guys, this stuff is kind of ridiculous in my opinion. But this is what people were viewing it back 100 years ago. Socially, final thing, women could not own property. 1840s. Later on, women can have the right to own their own property. Crazy stuff, guys. Crazy stuff. But this is, I'll let you look over the rest of this, but this is really what was going on, 100 years ago, with women, 100 years ago with the electronical devices, 100 years ago with the inventions, just coming out, and 100 years ago with these ideas of immigration and, moral rights and things like that with prohibition. So I'm going to end the stream here. What I want you to do is basically look at chapters, I believe it's 31 and 32, or maybe it's 32 and 33. I have to look. But look at the 2 chapters I'm going to post right after this stream. Make sure you just go through the YouTube videos there, record the notes like you've been doing, hand it back in. You'll get a grade for that. We're going to have a quiz later on this week on both of them. It'll probably be between maybe 10 and 20 questions through Google Forms if you can access that. If you can't, let me know, and we'll try to make some type of arrangements. But hopefully you found the stream pretty exciting, pretty enjoyable at least. Maybe not really exciting. I'm trying to make them a little bit more exciting, but hopefully you found it, I guess, educational. Hope everyone's doing well. And, oh yeah, finally, make sure you go on and you complete the discussion question that I'm going to post after the stream as well. The discussion question basically is, compare and contrast the 1920s to the 2020s. So basically what's going on like right now. Compare and contrast, find 3 ways that they're similar, 3 ways that they are different. Okay, so we're just going to roll with this, for as long as we're out. I'm gonna keep posting videos, keep looking for updates on Google Classroom. Hope everyone stays safe, healthy, strong, and I will see you soon.